What's up, everybody? If you notice, we were at a different angle today because I'm going to do a little video on what is normally my pretty much everyday build. There is going to be something different about this build than what I normally would do, and that's just the wire. Same gauge, just different wire. I normally use uh, 20 gauge royal wire, 6 wraps, uh, but today I'm actually going to be trying a new wire. This emulation wire, uh, it's a stainless steel blend, 20 gauge also, but we're going to see what 6 wraps, what I normally would do with royal wire. I'm gonna try it with this wire, see what it ohms out to, see if it's not too low. Now, builds like this, it may seem like a simple build, but due to the wire that I'm using, this is super low resistance wire. Uh, if you're just beginning, start off with your cancel. I use 24 gauge cancel, 5 wraps for, gosh, forever. It's probably been about 3, 4 months that I started getting into the, you know, competition wires, uh, and you really they ohm out a lot lower than, because my normal everyday build is, like I said, 6 wraps, 20 gauge, and that ohms out to like a .06, and that's not for the beginners. Um, you wanna take the process of learning, because this isn't like, if you make a mistake with this, it can be very devastating. Can cause very serious harm to you, to others. Uh, so just take your time when you do start doing builds like this. Really, anytime you're using a mechanical mod, I definitely suggest using batteries like this, which is Samsung 25R. Uh, these are the R5s. Definitely like that. You got your LG. What are these? The the LG HG twos, or HG. Yeah, I believe these are HG twos. But I normally use them in like this whenever I'm working at any box or something, because they have a higher mah. Um, I I I tend to stick with the Samsung 25R5. Like, I go through a ton of, you know batteries. Like, I have a ton. Um, and I normally keep the 25R5s for my unregulated devices. If we have time in this video, I'm going to show how I do like a quick clean on my mechanical mod. Um, I'm going to be building on the. Let me actually dry this out, because there's a lot of juice left on there. I don't want to waste that juice. Now the Lions beat the Saints. Matthew Stafford sets Lions record by completing 88% of passes, as Detroit holds all Saints late in 35-27 win. And I heard earlier this game, Drew Brees became the 4th quarterback to go over 60,000 yards. So I I tend to rebuild my mods depending on how much I use them, probably every 3-4 days. You definitely can make it last longer. I just really enjoy building. That's why I tend to rebuild them so often. And I just got this new wire, so I want to try it out. But so I guess I'm be building on the Kennedy 24, which is my favorite RDA, my go-to RDA. Can never go wrong with a Kennedy. They're very well made. Just great all around RDA. My top 3 RDAs of this year would probably be the Kennedy 24 1, the Sub-Zero by Sub-Ohm Innovations, and the Glacier would probably be my next 2. But yeah, so I don't mind using a little extra wire. I tend to a lot, so I really don't mind, but I don't want to waste too much of it. So I'll cut about 6 inches. And I like to use this coil master coil jig just because I like just how quick it is and how neat the coils come out. If I don't have this, it really doesn't matter, but you want to do 6 wraps. So a lot of people get rid of that first wrap, and I don't. I'll show you what I do. And this back out, pull it out from there, and just straighten it out as much as possible. You want to straighten it out. Get that lead as straight as possible on there, and then bend it up against this. Push again, bend it. Alright, so then it's looking like that. Okay, and then take it like so, and just give it a bend back, but you want to, I'll say, just leave it a little on there like that. I do this whenever I'm doing it in a 3-post atomizer like the Kennedy is, and then I'll just push it up against there with my pliers and get it nice and tight. If you want, you could take this part back and just push it up. I definitely, if you're going to be rebuilding your own coils, I definitely suggest the Coil Master rebuild kit, because it's just everything you need all in one. And like I really enjoy that the coil jig in there, because it just makes it so much quicker and easier to wrap your coils. I mean, it really does, and they come out good every time. So you want to, I always just bend my wire like this, because you never want to have your wires crossing in the positive post. Like, you never want to have this coil crossing with that coil, because it doesn't make them fire right. So I just bend this one over so it'll be easier to fit the next coil in there without crossing them. So you're just going to do the same with the next one. do this as quick as possible. Like I said, just pop your wire in there. Bend this part down with your thumb. Start that first wrap. So right now I got 3 wraps in there all ready to start with. So 4, 5, 6. And then like I showed before, just pull that part out, straighten it out a little bit, and just pull it. Straighten this lead. Then bend it like that. And then get your pliers in there and bend it back. Ooh. So you see that one was a lot quicker, and they just come out straight and everything, you know, every time pretty much. You're going to have a nice well-made coil. You may just have to put this around and just give it a little turn to make both of the leads even. But I mean, it's simple. So what I do is I'll push over on this coil and then put in this lead. And as you can see, let's see if I can get it on there. As you can see, they are not crossing. Sorry, I'm doing this on a selfie cam, but I just wanted to make sure that, you know, the camera angles were catching everything I was doing. Because I know a lot of people just, I see this question all the time on Facebook, what's a good cloudy, angry build? And this is, my answer every single time is this. Really with any of these wires, Royal Wire, Royal Wire Prime is a 21 gauge wire. That's also a very good wire. I do 5 wraps with this on a 3mm bit. Hot wires, another great wire, and this also won't ohm out as low. So if you're just beginning using these type of wires, you might want to try and give that a try and work your way down. Then you got something like this, which is the Royal Wire Prime 19 gauge. I always, if I use this, I use it with a, I do like a speed coil, like a 20 gauge coil, and then a 19 gauge, which I actually do this around a 3.5mm, and then the 20 gauge around a 3. And then I just got this too. I'm going to be trying this out, this Mad Rabbit wire. They're all really good wires. The Mad Rabbit wire, from what I understand, it's like this emulation wire. It ohms out very low, like Royal Wire. They all ohm out low, so you don't want to just jump into using wire like this, because it can be very dangerous. So just practice with Canthal, and these are also, you know, a lot more than what Canthal would be money wise. So you know, whenever you first start making coils and everything, it's gonna take practice. You definitely don't want to be practicing with wire like this that costs this much. So I'll tighten down my leads a little bit, and then I'll straighten them out, straighten the coils out. Now, you know, a lot of people tend to mess with this until they get the coils perfectly center up at the top, so they're both at the center post perfectly even. I do, but I don't mind if they're a little off. just as long as they're both sitting over top of that bottom airflow and they're, around the same height, and that's pretty much it. So to cut my leads, I'll bend it as much as possible to the side. Let's move this. So get in there and clip. I'm a little OCD with my leads. I like my leads as short, as close to the post as possible. So I'm trying to see. So it'll probably take 2 cuts. And just a 20 gauge, man, it's like a bullet whenever you cut it. So yeah, you definitely want to get as close as possible. There we go. Alright, so that's one lead. The other lead that I cut on this side in the positive post, I'm trying to get it as close as possible. And 20 gauge is, a thicker wire, so you may have to just put the first initial, dent in it, grab it with your pliers and just wiggle it until it breaks. Because if you're trying to cut, sometimes you just can't get the right angle for it to cut. So if I can't get it completely cut, I'll just, give it a nice little dent, and then I'll take my pliers and just wiggle it until it breaks. So that's it. Some people say they just wiggle it until it breaks without doing it, but that just takes too long, and by that time you got it completely backs out your screws. So and the other thing about this Quartermaster kit is it comes with these wire cutters. Now, whenever I first started building, I had a regular pair of wire cutters from work that were like thick. They were thick here. Do I have? No. So they were thicker, and it was just such a pain. My coils would be ruined by the time I finally cut my lead. So these things work amazing. It was crazy because I actually got a pair of these before I bought this kit, and it was crazy how big of a difference, just how quicker and how, much better my coils came out just from these wire cutters. So now that I got my leads cut, I actually got the Quartermaster kit comes with a screwdriver. I'll just put this in, push over as much as possible, and then pull up. Now, a lot of people do that center post, where they bend the lead and it sort of does this for them as far as centering the coil. Mine, I do it because it starts it off. Like, I don't have to work it as much to get them center, but it still takes a little bit of pushing and pulling. So and then I'll take my pliers. Now whenever you do this, you don't want to squeeze so hard that you squish the coil. So what I'll actually do is I'll put my pliers in there and just give it a nice little pull or push and just shape them. You can play. My buddy actually came over and was having troubles building, and it was crazy because whenever he was wrapping the coils, they came out perfectly fine for just starting, and he's like, he put them in the RDA and showed them to me. He's like, look, they come out like this. And I'm like, dude, all you got to do is just shape them to where you want them now. Like, you can, play with them a little bit until you get them in the perfect position. So he did, and it ended up being like a perfectly fit. He's like, dude, I must have thrown out, 2-3 spools of Canthol because I was just making the coils and wasn't. And you just shape them until you get them exactly where you want them. So after you do, which we'll say that's good. Yeah, that's fine. I would play with them a little longer and get them a little more centered, but for the sake of this video, that's good enough, so now the moment of truth to see what it ohms out, because if it ohms out too low, I'm actually going to throw out this build. And then you always want to make sure your leads are tight whenever you're done moving everything, because they will loosen up on you. Something's up. And this is actually a good thing to have too. The is it 521 or 5? The Coil Master 521 build kit. You can fire it on here. You can't fire a coil like this because it's just too low. It fires down to a 0.1, I believe. But anything 0.1 and above, it'll actually test fire it for you. It runs off of 18650, so I got one of my older 18650s in there. It works perfectly fine. I'm trying to figure out why. Let's retry this. I'm actually going to pause this video. I'll be right back because I don't want the video to be too long. Alright, so I finally got it. The battery that I had in there was finally just went on me. It ohmed out actually a little higher than I thought. It was a 0.09, 0.10. Yeah, 0.10. So that's actually alright. Real quick, I'm going to show you how I wick it. I was spending, tons of money on, I was using, the cottons, the Drago, all that cotton, native wicks and all that. But I actually found this to work best for me. It's a lot of people actually have been doing it, and that's the Scottish roll, I believe. So you take that first initial pad off of the Japanese cotton, and you just spread it out as much as you possibly can. I'll take all this extra stuff off, and I actually lay it down and and just pull it apart as much as possible. And then pull that piece off and give it a roll as if you're rolling a J. But yeah, so then I'll just you really gotta make sure this, because you want it as fat as possible, but to get it in there initially it's a little bit of a pain, so you just gotta make sure this is as tight as possible. Actually, guys, I'm gonna cut this video off because I didn't want it to be too long. So I'm going to wick this, and then I'm gonna do the how to clean how I clean my mechanical mods video, and I'll show you how this vapes in that video. Peace.